Hello, 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 and welcome into the most important episode of the Believe in Lions podcast. Of course, every week is the most important episode because every game is the most important game. This is brought to you by our friend, Glover Quinn, the safety for the Detroit Lions, the all pro, the interception leader, the Pro Bowl. So I'm sure he's going to have stuff to say about the Pro Bowl voting as well. Glover Quinn, my co-host, as always. Pleasure to get to talk to you on the Believe in Lions podcast.
Good morning. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Mixed up the intro a little bit because you're the one who has drilled this into me that every week is the most important game. And even though we're facing the Panthers, a team a lot of people want to write off, we can't afford to do that.
We can't. And these are the games that show you that you are a playoff worthy team. You have to go and win games that you're supposed to win, especially in situations like this. You can't go to Carolina and lay an egg. You know, you go out there and lay an egg, then you're not going to get in. And you're going to show that maybe you weren't a playoff team this year. You know what I'm saying? So this is a game that they absolutely have to win. So like I said, when you win in December, every game becomes the most important game of the season. This right here is the most important game of the season for them right now. Nothing else matters but this game right here.
And I was talking to a friend earlier this week who's a Bengals fan. And what they had to say was, well, they should beat the Panthers and they should beat the Bears, but they've got the Packers in week 18. That's a big one to look forward to. And my response was, well, if they can't beat the Packers, they're not a playoff team. That's all there
Right.
is to it. So I'm not going to start concerning myself down the road. We're going to take it one game at a time because if we can't win these next three, the Lions just aren't a playoff team. And that's really all there is to it. You are what your record shows.
That's absolutely right. So no need of looking for Green Bay. We got to beat Carolina this week. And there still would be no need to look for Green Bay. We'll have to beat Chicago at home on New Year's Day. Start the year off with a bang. And then we will worry about the Green Bay Packers and whatever situation that is. But for the last few times that I know of, last game of the season, Green Bay don't want to see Detroit. So we'll worry about them when we get there. Right now, we're going to go beat the Carolina Panthers.
And if and when we do beat the Carolina Panthers, the Lions will be an 8-7 football team. Seahawks play in Kansas City. If they lose to the Chiefs, they're a 7-8 football team. Commanders are in San Francisco. That loss would put them as a 7-1 football team, which would mean the Lions would be the 7 seed, but also if these two teams lose, the Giants will clinch a playoff spot with a win over Minnesota, but the Lions can still pass the Giants and get that 6 seed. There is a lot at stake this week. Next week, the Lions could go from currently the 9 seed to the 6 seed in just 2 weeks.
Right, and those are tough games for all of those teams. I mean, it's going to be tough for Seattle to beat Kansas City. They're a good football team. It's going to be tough for the Commanders to beat the 49ers. That's a tough game for them. And even the Giants, the Vikings, that's a tough game. So, like we talked about a few weeks ago, I mean, all those teams got tough schedules to close out the year, and the Lions, on paper don't have as tough of a schedule. Carolina, Chicago, Green Bay, they're not as tough on paper. Obviously, like we say, you still got to go out and play the games, and anybody can beat you at any time. So you can't take them lightly. You just have to go and win the games that you're supposed to win. But for us as media people, on paper, the Lions have the easiest road, so they have to take advantage of that.
They do. They really do. And not looking too far ahead to week 17, but Lions versus Bears. Giants host the Colts. Seahawks host the Jets. And Commanders host the Browns. Those aren't easy matchups either for any team, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, it's the Carolina Panthers, and it's securing that 7 seed for the Detroit Lions. What do you think when you first look at this Carolina Panthers team? Because they are almost an enigma where they finally started putting together an identity the last couple of weeks, but their identity has been a run heavy team, and they ran the ball 12 times against the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't watched a lot of Carolina this year, just being honest with you.
Why would you, right?
You know, I've kind of watched from a distance, and you've seen the disarray that's went on with Robbie Anderson and him being gone. They fired a coach early in the season, him being gone. They got rid of Baker. They had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, and they get Baker Mayfield out of there. And like, I really don't know. And then you look up at the end of the year, and it's like, man, they got a chance to make the playoffs if they can do this and this and that. So, that's a product of the NFC South being an awful division. Um, but I really haven't watched much of Carolina. They're not an exciting football team to me. I don't know who I would really even watch those games for. But like you said, I just over the history, they've had and tried to be a running team, regardless of who the coaches were. They've had Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams, and you go to Christian McCaffrey, and you go, all these guys that they try to run the ball. So if that's going to be your identity and play tough defense, like they used to have with Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis and, all those guys, then that has to be your identity. You can't say that that's your identity and run the ball 12 times. So it seems to me like they don't know. It's just kind of based off of how the game is going. If we can run it, cool. If we can't run it, then we're going to try to do something else. Either way, it doesn't bode well for them against the Detroit Lions if the Lions play the game that they're supposed to play.
And
That's
that
the
is
only thing that worries me is, are the Lions going to show that they are a mature, experienced football team and go out and play the way that they should play? Or are they going to play down to the level of the Carolina Panthers and leave them in the game? And when you leave a team in the game, it can go either way. These are NFL football players.
and that's what I'm going to be watching most intently is yes, they did play a little bit safe against the Jets. They were playing not to lose at times, but the Jets are still a quality football team. They've had issues at quarterbacks, but they've got a great defense. They've got skill position players. So it's not as though letting the Jets hang around is overly surprising. Just you'd like to see them put it away earlier. So if the Lions can come out, put up some points on their first drive, their second drive, it's going to be tough for Sam Darnold to really get into comeback mode because Darnold can't be feeling the love that Jared Goff has got from the Detroit Lions because Darnold, he gets traded from the Jets. You're still a young guy, you're still developing, but new franchise, new organization. We're going with Zach Wilson. Then he goes to Carolina, doesn't have a great first year there. Then they bring in Baker Mayfield. They draft a quarterback in the third round. Darnold goes down at the start of the season. Baker's the QB. Then Baker gets benched. And then the new starter, PJ Walker from the XFL, he suffers a high ankle sprain. So Baker's back. And then Sam's back. And then Baker's benched for Sam. Baker asked for a trade. Now he's with the Rams. There's just so much turmoil happening with this team. And part of it is they fire the head coach. But Steve Wilks, he's also coaching for his job. Former Arizona Cardinals. Technically, he was the head coach, but he'd never had full power that a head coach had. He couldn't hire his own assistants, even. So there's just so much at play and at stake here for so many people. It's almost a career game for Sam Darnold and Steve Wilks. If you can win out, you're helping your NFL career. But if you lose out, they're not in a great position.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. That organization, that like all those things that you talked about, I mean, that's just a lot of turmoil
That's a
going
lot
on
for
in
two or
team,
three
right?
years,
Yeah,
right? If
I mean, that's
if
just
you
a
had
lot.
if you had 4 different planned quarterbacks in 3-4 years, that'd be a lot for that to happen in one season.
Yeah, how do you get in the offensive rhythm? Like, how do your receivers, your O line, like all those guys are different. Sam Darnold is different from Baker Mayfield, who's different from PJ Walker or whatever. Like, they're just different guys. And yeah, like I said, I don't want to discredit or discount them as a NFL football team because they are, and we've clearly seen that they can beat teams. They've won games. They've put themselves in a situation to where, like you said, if they win out, they can make the playoffs. And like you said, Steve Wilkes, who I hated how they done him in Arizona. Like you said, they didn't even give him full reign, but then you want to fire him after 1 year. Like, how do you expect him to make stuff happen or do anything if you don't even give him power to hire people? You just like that's just awful to me how they did that. Um, so you wish the best for him, but this is just one of those games where you just hope that, the Lions got to get the win. Like Sam Darnold, like I root for all these guys to have great careers and to play great and do these type of things, but this is just not the week for you. So it sucks that it has to be like that, but that's just the way it has to be. There's people and coaches and players on the lines that are probably in some of the same situation that they're coaching for their career and they're playing for their career. That is the NFL. That is what we face each and every week. Somebody is coaching for something better. Somebody's playing for something better. Just is what it is. So everybody has a story. None of those matter when they kick out the ball. We're going to
They
win the game.
they don't matter, truly. This is the crazy thing about the NFL is there's so many personalities to root for, so many players that we love, but when you kick that off, none of it matters. All we care about is the Lions getting the win however they can. And from a defensive perspective, looking at this Panthers offense, it's kind of wild. And again, you don't want to just focus on the box scores because that's not how you do analysis. But Christian McCaffrey is still the number 2 in targets, receptions, and receiving yards on the team, and he hasn't been there for about 2 months. So DJ Moore, he is over double the next closest wide receiver in targets, in receptions, and 60% the yards of the number 2. And then you look at the offensive line, and the right side of the offensive line is significantly stronger, more established than the left. A younger left side of the line is what it is. They're still developing. So, from a defensive perspective, they're going to target DJ Moore, and that the left side of the offensive line's weaker than the right. How do you sort of attack this? Because this is two different dynamics that we're looking at here.
Well, they're going to cover up DJ Moore. It's hard to win with just one target. And we've seen the Lions play a few different times where you may see Justin Jefferson go for a lot of yards, but they shut down everybody else. So I think they'll do a job defensively. And, with the old line, I mean, you look at the Lions pass rush the last few weeks. I mean, if one side is weak, between James Houston, Aiden Hutchinson, these new guys that are coming in, somebody's coming from some side. It just is what it is. So the Lions have to take advantage of that, though. Like I say, the Lions have all the things that you will want to see on paper to go out and absolutely play a phenomenal game and not give the fans a hard time on Christmas Eve. But you never know how the game's going to really go.
No.
All we hope is they pull it out to win. These are tough games. I don't want to overstep that lightly. Like, these are tough games. These are tough games. You're going on the road. It's going to be cold. It's Arctic blast going across the whole freaking USA. So it's going to be cold, supposedly. You're going on the road 2 times in a row. You're playing against a Carolina team that's fighting for their life as well. So the Lions have to come in with the right mentality because it'd be a very sad Christmas if they don't go and win this game. So like I said, it's the biggest game of the year.
There's going to be a lot of heartbroken kids out there if the Lions lose on Christmas Eve and then Christmas morning under the tree, they've got an Aiden Hutchinson, an Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe a Glover Quinn jersey under the Christmas tree. It just won't feel the same coming off a loss. So do it for the kids, Detroit. Do it for the kids out there. Santa is willing a Detroit Lions victory. And I think a lot of it just comes down to doing what they're supposed to, playing their game. I don't think you have to go and get too crazy doing anything different than we've seen, because we've seen they can double cover or, mix and match. You get Jeff Okuda on DJ more often. Sometimes you bring the safety over. Sometimes you put the CB2. You can mix that. In the run game, we've seen lately, you don't have to do anything special with the Lions. They've just come together as a unit to everyone's filling a gap, everyone's tackling together. So it's not as though the Lions need to do anything too out of their depth, anything too crazy. They've just got to play their football game. And for you as an NFL player, what's that like going into a week like that where you just know, hey, if we play our game, we should win?
Like I say, it's a great feeling to know that. It's just harder to execute that mentally. It's a lot going on this week. It's Christmas week, right? So you're having your Christmas parties and your Christmas dinners and you're doing all that. You're having to deal with your family for Christmas and all this stuff. And you're playing Carolina. So sometimes you can skim over the at-home preparation that you generally do because you probably got a little more obligation this week. It's Christmas week. You can skim over some of the at work preparation that you do because it's Christmas week. It's a lot going on. And you can throw it and justify it as, oh, we're just playing Carolina. We should beat Carolina. If we just play our game, we'll beat Carolina. But the preparation is what allows you to play your game. So that's what scares me. Now, I do feel like, and I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched a lot of Carolina. But I do feel like if the Lions play their best game and Carolina play their best game, the Lions should win the game. If the Lions don't play their best game and Carolina don't play their best game, the Lions still should win. I feel like if the Lions don't play their best game, but Carolina plays their best game, then Carolina could win the game. If the Lions don't play their best game and Carolina don't play their worst game, but they don't play their best game, I think the Lions still will win. So I think there's only one scenario where the Lions lose, and that's if Carolina plays their best game and the Lions don't play their best game. If the Lions play awful and Carolina plays good, then Carolina will win the game.
Absolutely. And that's going to happen for most teams in the NFL. That's why any team can beat any team on any given week. But we're not going to allow that to happen. We're hoping that everyone at home is just taking care of themselves. Got to go back to the Christmas party question for you. You mentioned that a little bit. Is that home Christmas parties, the family and everything? Or do the teams actually do something together to celebrate Christmas? Or is it just too business oriented to even let that creep in? Because I know a lot of people have Halloween parties. What's Christmas like?
I mean, we used to have a Christmas party,
Okay.
and I don't know when they would do it. Generally, our Christmas party would be like it would have probably like this week coming off a win, and you don't never know if you're coming off a win or not because they're always planning it. But it probably would have been like Monday night, because Monday or it would have been last Monday maybe. With
Okay.
them playing on Christmas Eve, with them playing on Saturday, their work week might have looked differently, right? Like Monday might have been considered like the Tuesday off day, right? So then Tuesday would have been like Wednesday work. Wednesday would have been like Thursday. Thursday would have been like Friday, because Friday you got to travel like Saturday, and Saturday you got to play like Sunday. So Monday maybe wasn't a normal Monday. Probably was their Tuesday. So then last week they probably would have done it on Friday night before they left to go to the Jets, or they probably would have done it on Monday last week before the preparation for the Jets, because you would have had a normal week. So Tuesday would have been an off day. You have a Christmas party Monday night with the staff, the players, families, wives, kids, all that fun stuff on a Monday night when you got Tuesday off. But I don't know. I didn't see any pictures, didn't hear anything. So I don't know if the Lions did that or not. I don't know.
Maybe they're waiting until after Christmas too. Maybe that's when the Christmas. No?
Now, after Christmas parties, Christmas parties.
Gotcha.
Because the minute Christmas is over with, everybody is literally into the New Year's parties.
Okay.
Like, I don't know many after Christmas parties. Like, people will have a Christmas party 3 weeks before Christmas, but I don't know many people that will have a Christmas party, 2 days after Christmas. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's a
Yeah.
big lead up to Christmas, and once it's here, and when it's gone, it's over. It's on to New Year's. So I've seen them come as early as, I mean, I've seen people have Christmas. I mean, you look at Christmas parades, they're the 1st of December. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? People will celebrate Christmas all the way up until Christmas. Once Christmas is over with, it's over with. So I think they've already had the Christmas party if they're gonna have one. And if they haven't had one already, then they're not having one.
Yeah, this is true. You get that quick hook as soon as Christmas is done. Maybe as a family, you let it bleed into Boxing Day. But after that, no, we're on to the new year. And it must be interesting for a team like the Lions who are just so focused right now. I don't know how that would shake out. But for you as a player, some of the Christmas parties you've been to, are there anything too crazy? Because every Halloween, you see the Randy Moss and Bill Belichick. Hey, come to my Christmas party, Bill. I want you at my Christmas party. He's dressed as a pirate. And that's not crazy, crazy. That's just a lot of fun, you know? So was
Yeah,
there anything
Christmas
like that with
party.
the coaches?
Yeah, Christmas parties wasn't like that. Christmas parties are more formal,
Gotcha.
dressier, you
Okay.
know, Christmas parties.
Dan
Yeah.
Campbell's not dressing as Santa.
I don't know. Dan Campbell possibly could, but the ones
Jim
that I've been
Caldwell
to,
wasn't Santa. Matt Patricia wasn't Santa.
nah, I don't remember Matt Patricia even having one.
That's okay.
I don't remember going to a Christmas party with Matt Patricia. Um, but with Coach Caldwell, nah, we used to dress up. He would want you in a, you know, nice jacket, a nice fit. Like you show up looking spiffy for the Christmas party. Um, the ones I had in Houston, Coach Kubiak used to throw a big party at his house, and he would always have like performers and you know things like that. But they all, like I said, they were more formal parties. Nothing really crazy at the Christmas party. No real gift exchange and anything like that. It was just a party. If you did a gift exchange, you did that mainly with your position group. So
Mm,
as a DB, we used to have like our Christmas dinner. We would go out and do a dinner, and then we would do like our gift exchange at the dinner, stuff like that. Some groups might just do a gift exchange in their meeting room. Just kind of all depends.
yeah.
You look at a receiver group, they may only have 5 or 6 guys. As DBs, we're gonna have 10 to 12 guys. You throw in a couple practice squad guys, we might have 14 guys. So we would always do a big dinner. That was really when we would do our rookie dinner for
Okay.
Christmas, and then we would do our gift exchange.
Okay, interesting. And you see it different positions in different teams, it's always handled differently. Of course, if you're an offensive line, you're probably getting a gift from your quarterback, maybe a gift from your running back. Heard earlier this week or last week that the offensive line for Barry Sanders, he would get them a gift every year. And one year, the offensive line had to tell Barry, no, no, we're getting you the gift. You are making all of us look better, Barry. So we're just we'll get you something special. It's nice to see all of these stories come up. And speaking of your former defensive back room, a couple of your buddies got some good news yesterday. Another Pro Bowl for Darius Slay and for Quandre Diggs.
Yeah, that's I think that's 3 for Quandre. I think that's 5 for Slay. Congrats to those guys. And it's never, you can never go to too many. You never get tired of getting voted in. You never get tired of going. So
You
um
don't get tired of going and playing the Pro Bowl game,
I mean,
or
it's different. It's
okay,
different this year. So you want to go. It's different. And it's in Vegas, you know. So you want to go. You never don't want to go and be celebrated, to be amongst the best, to be, like you want that. So congrats to those guys. Great years. Um, you know, very deserving.
Very much so. Very much so. It's always nice seeing your friends get recognition that they deserve.
Oh
As for
yeah, I
the,
still give those guys a hard time though. Quandre dropping interceptions.
he's had a
It's
couple.
like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
One did you?
He can no longer talk about being top 2 in hands and not number 2. He's no, I gotta put him he gotta slide down to 4th, maybe.
And did you hear what Darius Slay? I think it was 2 games ago he said this, but Darius Slay, he doesn't want to play corner anymore. He wants to go and move to wide receiver because he thinks Jalen Hurts is so good. Even he could go for 1,000 yards.
Don't do it, Slay. No, no. I mean, Slay's a phenomenal athlete. Don't get me wrong. Not a receiver. No, don't do it, Slay. Stay at corner. Make a couple more Pro Bowls, bro.
Get a couple more interceptions. As a friend of the show, Darius Slay, he's been on before. Maybe not going for 1,000 yards.
Nah, nah. I can't see that. I can't see that. But I mean, you get him in the right system, he might catch a go ball on you every now and then.
Oh, for
But
sure.
outside of that, running dig routes and comeback routes and slants across the middle, I don't know. I don't know.
Uh, looking at the
Um,
Lions, though, because they got a little bit of recognition too from the Pro Bowl, as well as your friends did. Another former teammate, Frank Ragnow, he's the one selection for the Detroit Lions, the only one who actually made the team. But we've got Penei Sewell. He's the first alternate at offensive tackle. We've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's the first alternate at wide receiver. Jared Goff is the third alternate at quarterback. And then we've got a mix of Jonah Jackson, Jamal Williams, Jason Kabinda, Aiden Hutchinson, Taylor Decker, and Khalif Raymond, who are all alternates in some form or fashion.
and that's good for those guys to be, for Frank to get voted in and for those other guys to get some recognition and become alternates. Unfortunately, this year, unless a player is injured, seriously injured, or playing in the Super Bowl, they're not going to turn down this trip
No.
because it's new. They're not having to play a real game. They're going to have skills competition and fun, and it's going to be in Vegas. So, last year, being the first alternate, you could probably almost pencil in that you were probably going to go because guys are just going to pull out. They don't want to play in the game. They're going to, yeah, I'm injured. I don't want to go out there, right? This year is new. It's different. They're not playing the real game. They're playing 7-on-7, doing skills competitions. They're celebrating them for a whole week in Vegas. So unless they're playing in the Super Bowl or unless they are absolutely broken, they are going this year. So that's unfortunate because, like I said, some of those guys who are first alternates may not get to go just because nobody's backing out. But like I said, you will have two Super Bowl teams. So, for Jamal, Miles Sanders will have to make it to the Super Bowl. And, Saquon Barkley is not going to make it. And Troy Pollard could go, but if Troy goes, then Miles not going. So I don't know if there's going to be, what was Jamal, second alternate, third alternate?
I think it's third.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be two guys pull out and another two alternates don't go for you to make it. Amon, I didn't even see who the wide receivers were for the NFC.
I actually don't think I looked that one up either. Let me pull that up and see who else he would be. I think AJ Brown is one of them. He's got a shot at the
Super Bowl.
yeah. And who else? CD Lamb, I imagine, was one of them.
Mm.
Here, let's see. 2023 Pro Bowl. Pulling it up here. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make it no matter what. Panay as well at the tackle position. Because offensive linemen, do you think offensive linemen are going to be pulling out this year, knowing
No,
it's
because they're not
flag?
doing anything. They're not doing anything.
They get the chance to show off the hands and some flag
Right. Like,
football.
they're not doing anything all week but freaking partying in Vegas. Why would they pull out?
Can't do it. Absolutely can't do it.
No.
All right. We've got the receivers here. Oh, Justin Jefferson. Of course, Justin Jefferson made it.
Justin Jefferson, unless Minnesota goes to the Super Bowl, he's going.
Yeah.
CeeDee
Jefferson,
Lamb's going.
CD, AJ Brown, and Terry McLaurin's the number 4.
Well, Terry's not going to the Super Bowl. Justin's probably not going to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, nobody from San Francisco wide receivers made the Pro Bowl. So Amon, Am- Amon might could make it.
He's
AJ
root.
Brown may go to the Super Bowl, or Justin Jefferson. It'd be it's gonna be it'll be tough. But him being the first alternate, he'll have a shot. One of those guys may go to the Super Bowl.
Is this
Unless the
something that
49ers, unless the 49ers win.
is this something that you as a player are actually watching? So when you see you're the first alternate, are you kind of counting down? Well, this guy might pull out because of this injury. This guy might make the Super Bowl. Is that something you're counting now, or is it still too early and you're waiting until much closer to?
I mean, I don't think I think when it initially happens, you know, sometimes it depends on who the guys are, right? If the guys are you feel that made it are you feel legitimately are better or had better years, then you're probably okay with being the first alternate, and you're just like, okay. But then you may look at it and say, well, you know what, I'm probably gonna still get to go because one of these two guys are gonna probably go. But I mean, if you know, if you are making a playoff run and you're an alternate, you're probably sitting there like, I may not get to go because we're probably gonna try to be in a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes, you know, being a first alternate could be like a feeling hurt, like a hurt feeling. Like, what do you mean I'm an alternate? I had better years than all those guys. And I can say that because that's how I felt in 2017. I felt like I had a better year than every guy that got voted to the Pro Bowl in 2017. But I was a first alternate. So then when they called me to come to the Pro Bowl, I didn't want to go. I was like, nah, I'm good. So they took somebody else. Because like I said, I felt like I had a better year than all those guys. So I didn't want to go as an alternate.
I should have been there on the first ballot.
I should have been there on the first ballot. Like,
I'm there on the first ballot. Maybe I do go.
you know what I'm saying? So, and then like I said, it's different. Like when you come out of the season and you know you're going to Pro Bowl, you know, if you don't make the playoffs, you got 3 weeks. You got to kind of stay in shape. You got to kind of do this and that. Well, it used to be because you were playing the game. Now it's kind of like, you know, you just get to go and kind of have fun. You can horse around through some 7-on-7. You know what I'm saying? So I think more players are going to go, which would be good. You know what I'm saying? Because you want, you know, you want the guys to go that get voted in. That's who the fans want to see. And I mean, although I think one of those AFC teams, one of those AFC quarterbacks are going to make it to the Super Bowl. But, you know, if somebody shows up in the AFC and, you know, goes on a hot streak, I think it'll be cool to see Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes at the Pro Bowl. Like, I think that'd be cool. I don't know if we've ever seen, you know, stuff like that, because a lot of times those top quarterbacks that get voted in, one of them's going to the Super Bowl, so they don't play, and the other one's probably pulling out because they don't want to go. They don't want to play in the actual real game, but they'll go do some 7-on-7 flag football. They'll do that.
I just
So,
have to sit back there. You can't hit me. I just have to sit back there and pop,
and
pop,
throw it.
pop.
I get to spin it. You get to see these guys shooting like NBA basketball players in the street ball. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I posted something the other day. I'm like, NBA players don't miss outside of in the NBA games, right? You catch those guys in the local gym, they don't miss. I'm just letting you know, they don't miss. That's how NFL quarterbacks are. Like, you catch them outside of a real NFL game, they don't miss. Like, everything is soup, 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 soup. They don't miss. That's just how it is. Those guys are accurate. They can throw. They don't miss. So, I mean, that's why it's pro ball. It's just skill. Like, I know so many times we see stuff on TV and you think, oh, they're just did. No, these guys are skilled. This is pro ball. Like, it's not your average Joe. These guys are skilled. And so you'll get to see that, you know, at this year's Pro Bowl, and it'd be exciting.
And there's just going to be so many social media clips, which is good for the NFL. It just continues to grow the game, which is already the biggest sport in North America. But it's just those things that just makes the fans happier, gets them more involved. All of that is good for football. We're excited to see that. One thing I do want to ask you about before we do get you out of here and get your final prediction is something that is almost becoming not so good for the game in college. And of course, I'm not saying get rid of the transfer portal, but you had your post the other day. A lot of these guys are transferring for nothing, for no reason. And it should exist because sometimes kids get into situations where they were lied to or the coach leaves and all of that. And so they should have this option. But now we're almost at the point where it's the first choice is to transfer instead of building up a program. And like you said, they're going to find you. If you are good enough, they are going to find you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this because I don't really like how it's been, you know, used or whatever. I understand that the transfer portal was created because, it was an outcry for the players because, coaches could leave, a player go and sign with a team, because they got a specific coach. Coach leaves after a year or whatever. Now the player is stuck. If the player wants to leave, he got to sit out a year and all these different things. So you create this system, right? Totally understandable. I get that part. The thing that gets me is people was telling me, what about the guy that's buried on the depth chart? He's fourth or fifth. And I'm sitting there like, when he went on his recruiting visit, when Joe Burrow, they kept bringing up Joe Burrow. When Joe Burrow went on his recruiting visit to Ohio State, those quarterbacks were there. Did you think you were going to walk in there and be the top guy? No, those guys were there. Point blank, period. Maybe you thought you could outplay them. I don't know what it was, but you chose to go there knowing that those other quarterbacks were there. Then you see an opportunity that you can maybe go to LSU, so you transfer. Understandable, right? The thing that gets me is when you look at the lower level schools, non-power 5 schools, it's really turning into a glorified junior college.
Mm-hmm.
Because these guys are going to lower level schools and they're starters on their football teams. They are starters, not guys buried on the depth chart. They are starters. They're having good years. And now they're transferring from the team to try to go to a bigger school. That's where I kind of have a problem with it. And they say, well, why don't they get a right to go and better themselves? Okay. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and fight you, argue you. You make your own decisions. At the end of the day, the grass is not always greener. And somebody try to bring up, well, coaches get to do this and do that. And I simply said, coaches' eligibility don't have a shelf life. Players do. Coaches can leave, transfer, this and this and that. They can coach to the rest of their life. I said, coaches either get fired or coaches get promoted. Coaches don't have a good year and just leave the team and say, oh, I know somebody's going to want me to come coach their team, so I'm just going to leave because I led this team to the MEAC, conference championship, and we had a great year, and I know I'm a good coach, and I know I can get a better opportunity, so I'm just going to leave. Hey, coach, hey, I'm leaving this organization. Somebody's going to hire me. Coaches don't do that, right? They don't do
Yeah.
that. They leave when they get fired or they leave when they get offered another job, right? So these players who jump in this portal, are they guaranteeing you guys scholarships? Are you guaranteed to get a better offer? No, you just becoming a part of another big pool. Now I get it. If you was a top guy coming out and you this or that, yeah, you may have a better chance to go to a different school. But at the end of the day, you're putting yourself out there with a whole nother group of college players that's fighting for a scholarship amongst all the high school kids coming out that's fighting for a scholarship. So now you have, and like I say, it hurts high school recruiting because these high school kids can't get recruited like they supposed to, or they get offered because these coaches are waiting to see who's going to enter the portal. Who do I have an opportunity to get out of the portal? I just think it's bad. I think having legitimate reasons to transfer is cool. Just to transfer just because, like, I feel like that's, I don't know. And like I said, I don't want to take people's decisions to control their life and do the things that they feel like is best for them. I just don't think it's good for the game. I don't think it's good for football. Um, you know, it's really not my cup of tea. And like I say, I may feel that way because, like I say, I went to a lower non-power 5 school. I wouldn't say lower, but University of New Mexico, we're not a power 5 school. And so when you're trying to build a program, you're trying to find these good guys that can play and you can build your program around. So it's very difficult to build a program to where you can become someone who can consistently be a winner if every time you have a good freshman or a good sophomore, it's like, all right, they leave. Now you got to try to find somebody else. Like, it becomes very difficult. And, but that's their choice. That's what they chose to do. That's your option. You exercise that option. So I understand it from that point of view. I just don't like it. Like I say, I can understand being at a big school, you trapped in a depth chart, you got injured, somebody else came in, and you still feel like you can play and you want an opportunity to show that. I understand that. Being a starter on the football team, like you're the starter on the team, like you're the starter, you're the leading tackler on the team. I
I
don't know.
I completely agree with you. And I like that you put it from so many different outlooks, because I believe that you should have the freedom to be able to make that choice. However, you probably shouldn't make that choice in most situations. It's a beautiful thing that these kids, where, because you'd see the stories all the time. Player wants to move home because a family member's sick, have to sit out a year. The fact that that's completely been eliminated is beautiful, but you get people just transferring to transfer. And yes, I believe they should have that right and that freedom. It's not necessarily the best thing for them, the best thing for the program, even the best thing for the new school they're going to. And you hear so many stories from the past where Jalen Hurts, he sat that whole year as the backup, did right by his team, and then he moves on. Beautiful. It worked out well for everyone. Alvin Kamara, he realizes, I am far too immature to be at Alabama. I got to go sit out a year and try to figure out my life and how to get back on track. He was at least had the sense to realize that. And that's the problem, is a lot of these kids aren't learning the big picture, and it's just the immediate, well, I got to make a move because I got to make a move. And that's where we're running into so many issues. And it's unfortunate, because you just want everyone to succeed. That's all I want, is every player out there. I want them to maximize the best of their abilities, win as many championships as possible. It's just, you hope the best for them and you hope it works out in their new situation. But so many times these kids end up in an area with some brown grass.
Yeah, it's tough. We'll see. We'll
It
see.
is.
I was looking at some numbers. I don't know where I was looking at that at. Um, but they were just talking about how the amount of players that's been in the portal year after year, like it's over 8,000 players in the transfer portal this year. Like,
There's not
and,
8,000
and only like
spots.
40% of them are getting like, so that means you got people that are giving up scholarships. And that's always been my problem. And that was my problem even when it came to the NBA, right? I didn't really like what the NBA did when they were like, you can't go straight out of high school. You can go to college for a year and then go. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? Because you get these guys who are probably surefire NBA players, right?
LeBron James.
Yeah. And they have to go to college for 1 year, but they know they only going for a year. So they really only doing enough to pass classes for the first semester to be eligible for second semester. And they probably not even going to class the whole second semester because I'm going to NBA and it's basketball season. I'm not going to be here anyway. Who cares, right? And I'm not saying that they do this, but maybe they do, right? But I think about all these high school athletes that need that college scholarship, want that college scholarship. They can turn into some really good college basketball players to get their education, build your program around some of these guys because everybody's not going to the NBA, but they don't get that offer because you gave it to this guy who you knew was going to be gone after a semester. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now these kids are just having to find other like places to, and it's like, hey man, if you're good enough to go to the NBA, just go to the NBA. If you want to come to college, then you're gonna be here for at least 3 years. If you want to go to the NBA, go. If you come to college, you're gonna be here for 3 years. But they was like, no, you just gotta go 1 year. What does that do? Like, what does that do?
Who
What's
does
the
this
difference?
help?
What's the major difference in an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old? Like like I'm not saying there's not a difference in a year, but like playing 1 year of college basketball is gonna make that much of a difference. They're gonna grow that much in maturity. Really? No, I feel like you want to put them in situations to get in trouble because it's a whole lot different going to college knowing that I'm going to go to the NBA. So I really don't have to take this much seriously. I just got to do enough to be eligible to play second semester.
That's the thing. They're if you wanted to create a whole system to prop people up and teach actually educate people, then and financial literacy and all that, that'd be great. That'd be so awesome because then people are actually maturing. You're not actually maturing when you just said, "Hey, just get, get a 60." As long as you get a 60, you're good. We don't care about what class you get a 60 in. We don't care about any of that. Just get your 60s and then show up for spring ball and we'll be good for the season. And it's the same with entering the NFL draft too. I believe that all these underclassmen should have the ability to enter, but so many guys where they're not ready. And if they had someone honest in their life, they would say, you're not going to get drafted and you should probably just come back.
Yeah, I mean, one of a family friend of mine I realized was had entered the draft this year. I didn't even know he was coming out this year. I was just like, oh wow, he still had another year. He plays wide receiver. His name is Parker Washington at Penn State.
Okay.
He plays wide receiver.
Yep.
But he decided to come out this year. I didn't even know he was coming out this year. He's a junior. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he got good information. I don't know. Um, maybe he felt like he was ready. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. So, congrats to those guys, man. That's taking their career and running it how they want to run it. Only thing is you just got to understand. As an adult, you are responsible for your own decisions. So you make decisions and they don't work out for you, then that's you gotta look in the mirror. You make decisions and they do work out for you. Hey man, great job. Great job. Go get it. If you feel like you can go get it, go get it. I still don't have to like it. I still don't have to agree with some of it. But I try to tell my kids if it don't involve me, if it don't impact my life, and if it don't affect my life, there's no reason for me to stress about it. So another kid transferring school don't involve me, don't impact me, don't affect me. That's what they want to do. You go right ahead. I don't have to like it. I don't have to stress about it either.
That's truly the best way that you can be about this situation because in the end we just want everyone to succeed. All of this conversation, it's not to say, well, we know better than you, we know your situation. All we're saying is just think about it because we want the best for you and we want the best for the Detroit Lions. So when we offer criticisms and when we offer insights, it's because we want the best. We just want everyone to succeed. This weekend, we want the Lions to succeed and I actually don't remember what the spread is. I think the Lions are 3.5, 4-point favorites. Make sure you're betting with our friends over at Bet Online if you do. But Glover, what do you think the final score will be this coming Saturday?
Hmm. This coming Saturday. Let me check the forecast real quick.
All right.
Let me check the forecast.
That does matter. Well,
That's gonna
especially for
matter.
the Lions, it depends on what kind of game style they're actually going to play, right?
Right. Let me check the weather. Where we at? Where they play at? Carolina.
Charlottesville, is that where the stadium's located?
Charlotte.
Or Charlotte? Yeah.
North Carolina. Let me see. Man, it's so cold there. It ain't even pulling up. It's 39 and raining right now.
Ooh.
Saturday is going to be a low of 13 with a
Ooh.
high of 31, but it's going to be sunny.
Okay.
So I'm going to go. The Lions have been scoring 30 plus points at home. On the road, they've been around 18 to 24 points. So I'm going to go. The Lions are going to win. And I'm going to go with a score of 24 to 21.
You think the Panthers are going to score some points on the Lions?
I'm worrying about it. I'm just worrying about it's been a Christmas week, and you're playing the Carolina Panthers, and you're going on the road. So I'm worried about how the Lions mentally are gonna be ready for this game. But I'm gonna go 24-21. The Lions will win it, and they'll win 2 close, tough games on the road, back to back in December.
And then head home to face the Bears in the new year.
And you know we own the Bears.
We own the Bears. It's a great time to be a Detroit Lions fan. Glover, as always, I am so thankful getting to talk to you several times a week. Truly a pleasure. Any final thoughts, any final takeaways before we get you out of here?
Nah, man, enjoy the holidays. Be safe. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Christmas Eve. Get to watch some Lions football on Christmas Eve. So enjoy the holidays. Hug your loved ones. That's about it.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and go Detroit Lions. We will see you next time after this W that the Lions are about to get.
Peace.